Chapter 4. The Magyri, Descendants of the First Humans. The reality is that technically we are not from your world, of course not. It could be said that to you, we are extraterrestrials, since in this time, we are outside the walls you have just crossed. But we also have a human part within each of us, just like you. In our lands, there are several differences between our race, and not all are like us. Genetically, I mean. We are known as the Magyri, because we are human and Venusian, but descendants of the first humans known as the descendants of JB. Nos Confunden. Excuse me, but who is JB? And how is it possible that all these lands exist? Why is all of this unknown? In your world, it is not entirely unknown, although only a very small minority knows about it. That subject is more dangerous, and we cannot offer you much information right now. What you must understand is that you were not meant to cross the walls, and it was not planned for you to do so, but you did. And that has now placed you in knowledge. Nos Confunden. I stood there, lost, staring at the distant horizon, reflecting on this whole new world that was opening before my eyes. I tried to say something else, but I collapsed. The men then carried me in the enclosed boat to their vessel. When I woke up, I was lying on a bed that seemed to levitate, in a cabin I didn't recognize at all. I panicked at not recognizing the place and started shouting. A woman approached, opening the door, and told me to stay calm, that everything was fine. She also spoke in basic English with a strange accent, and held the same object in her hand that Hutton's companion had. The woman told me that I had fainted from everything I had endured in the past days drifting at sea, and that her people had found me and brought me to their vessel. I was trying to focus on what she was saying, although her words sometimes didn't make much sense, perhaps due to the language barrier. Even though she used that strange luminous device, sometimes the words seemed to mix together. I responded in my native language, but she shook her head, trying to explain that she couldn't speak that language. I couldn't understand how all of this worked. The woman had something covering her head, and she didn't seem to have hair, nor did she have eyebrows. She had very large eyes and delicate facial features. Nos Confunden. Our encounter did not start in the best way, which is understandable. You were unconscious and frightened when you woke up. They call me Rizaha, but you can simply call me Riz. I am very sorry for what happened to you. You were very lucky that we were the ones who found you, and that you are still alive. Do you know anything about my crew? I asked desperately. She shook her head. Are we heading towards the walls? No, Tyler, we cannot go towards the walls. But that man told me. What was his name? Hatton. I understand what he told you, and he didn't lie to you. We can help you with that, but not now. At this moment, we need to go to our lands, and from there, if you still want to return, we will guide you. Your lands? But according to the map I saw, we were really an unimaginable distance away. Don't worry, we will be there shortly, and you will be able to meet our people. They are very kind, and will help you with whatever you need. But you don't understand. I need to talk to my superiors, to tell them that I'm alive, and to share everything about these lands that exist on this side. This is something magnificent, I tried to explain, with total euphoria pouring out of me like a desperate plea. I understand, but you need to stay calm. Everything will happen in due time. Take this in the meantime. It will help you recover faster. She handed me a cup that felt very cold to the touch on the outside, but the liquid inside was hot. It seemed to be some kind of tea, but with an herbal taste I couldn't identify. What is this? I asked, although she seemed to ignore my question. Then Riz said, "Nos confunden. Come, I'll take you outside so you can meet part of our crew." I followed her, stepping through the door onto the deck while observing the entire vessel. There were no rivets, no visible joints between the walls. Everything seemed to have been built as a single piece. In the distance, I could see Hatton inside a cabin full of buttons and blue screens. I still couldn't understand all the technology these beings had, nor could I truly believe they were human. They seemed like something out of a fiction book. Riz introduced me to 5 other crew members who greeted me politely but didn't speak a single word in my language or even in English. It seemed not all of them had that communication device. Hatton came out to greet me, saying he was happy to see me in one piece again. I thanked them once more for their hospitality, but I told him I was worried about traveling so far. I wanted to return to my lands, and I also asked about my vessel. Hatton told me not to worry, that the vessel would soon be brought to their lands, and that from there they would help me return to my land and time. "I still don't understand about the timelines," I said. Hatton replied that for now I shouldn't worry about that. There would be time to explain this topic and many other things. In the meantime, enjoy the view, he advised me. And so, without fully understanding who these beings were or where we were heading, while sipping Riz's strange tea, I stood gazing at the horizon, completely lost in my reflections. The waters had the transparency of Caribbean coasts, and the reddish color of that sun, which seemed to hide far away, made this ocean simply unique. Nos confunden. I wasn't sure what was happening at that moment, but I was certain it was something very few had experienced. And even though I feared what might come, I was eternally grateful for having my life saved. I returned to the cabin where I had been before and sat down to meditate and reflect on the whole experience. It was all so strange that I even thought I might have died, and that this was actually life after death, if that was even possible. Riz entered again, this time without the covering on her head, and I could indeed confirm that she had no hair. She held something in her hands and gave it to me, saying, "Here, I've brought you another infusion that you should drink if you want to recover, but this one is different." I told her that I already felt stable and well. I thanked her, but she insisted. For a moment, I began to doubt everything. Above all, I didn't understand why we were heading toward these lands, fearing that my return had already been forgotten, and that they would not help me return. YouTube channel Nos Confunden.